got two more theses today. This one will be from Reynfo. Reynfo's got a topic that it's actually quite a good topic. It's anytime someone from America comes to visit, the first thing I got to explain to them is this Angkot thing, right? And why these guys are moving so slowly in front of me and why I have to get around them and those kinds of things. So it's a topic I appreciate. These are Reynfo's words. He says, I would like to thank God for helping me through this process, my family for helping me. No, my friends for not helping me. For my friends for not helping me. And my family for helping me. I thank the teachers that helped me practice and my advisor for helping me complete this thesis. Okay.
Oh, no.
The title is Drive to Survive, Reforming Bandung's Angkot System. Give me a second to get the timer set up. I'll tell you when you can start. All right, you can start when you're ready.
Every day, in the city of Bandung, a frantic race for survival starts before the sun even rises. You see, this isn't any Formula One race or MotoGP race. It isn't even broadcasted live for people to see. Thousands upon thousands of Angkot drivers, swerving, driving erratically, braking without warning, all for the sake of gaining the attention of a passenger waiting at the corner of the street. To a visitor, it may seem like absolute chaos, but for the driver, it is a matter of life and death as he tries to earn his daily storan to feed his family. This is the drive to survive. How can a city progress with its most vital mode of transportation designed for failure? Public transport has existed for centuries, starting from the year 1662, where Blaise Pascal first invented the 5-penny coaches, the first ever form of public transport. Then, during the Japanese occupation of Indonesia, the Japanese introduced buses and carriages as public transport in Indonesia, called the Jidosha Shokyoku. After that, started the variety of oplet and microlet, which is where smaller vintage cars carry passengers around just like buses would do. Finally, the last iteration of this public transport is called the Angkot, which is when bigger and newer cars were introduced to the system, such as the Mitsubishi Colt and the Suzuki Carry. Angkot, or Angkutan Kota, refers to the local, non-railway public transportation system in Indonesian cities, characterized by the operation of small passenger vehicles that follow fixed routes but operate with very flexible loading and unloading practices. This mode of transportation is vital for many people's daily life, as the urban poor and students rely on their cheap services to get to places and could not afford anything more. For the urban poor, the Angkot is like a heart. It pumps life into the neighborhoods buses couldn't reach. Despite their long-standing presence, Bandung's Angkot system is marred by public dissatisfaction regarding driver behavior and how inefficient the system is. Reckless driving and the habit of ngetem, which is waiting for a certain number of passengers before going, render travel times unpredictable. Therefore, the Angkot system needs to undergo a significant reform to create safer and clearer roads in Bandung for 3 reasons: incompatibility within the city structure, the inefficiency of private management, and the crisis in safety in roadworthiness. While iconic, the current Angkot system is physically incompatible with Bandung's 19th century urban design. As Bandung is originally designed for smaller traffic volumes, streets in Bandung only span around 6 to 7 meters, reducing the workspace. The lack of a dedicated Angkot hub also means that Angkots compete for space directly with other cars and motorcycles in the same limited road. Even when an Angkot is moving, its lack of predictability means that it causes traffic behind to slow down. The road is simply not wide enough to accommodate a stop anywhere policy without bringing the city to a complete halt. All this stopping can cause a bottleneck in traffic. Imagine traffic like pouring bubble tea through a bottle. Traffic flows normally until one Angkot suddenly stops. Then everything behind it begins to pile up. With Angkots practicing a time, it doesn't just stop the cars, but it disrupts the flow of the entire city. This suggests that the congestion is not because of too many people in the system, but instead it's because of the system that allows an individual Angkot to prioritize the profit over the flow of the city. Following that, the setoran system creates pressure for drivers to into dangerous driving behaviors. According to Rahayu, drivers must first pay a fixed quota called setoran. This puts them in an extremely stressful position as they feel pressured to beat other drivers to the next passenger. This causes drivers to engage in reckless driving, weaving in and out of lanes, as well as making illegal U-turns. Since the drivers may earn this quota before earning a living, they have no money to spend on vehicle repairs and maintenance. As a result, many Angkot drivers continue to operate in extremely dangerous conditions. Besides that, the shift of needs from Angkot to other modes of transport has become more appealing to other customers. In a city with narrow roads and limited infrastructure, commuter mobility requires predictability, speed, and efficiencies, qualities that the current Angkot system lack, compared to the e-hailing platforms, which offers the predictability that modern commuters will require. Studies show a significant rise in online transport usage in Indonesian cities like Bandung, where commuters prefer more convenient and flexible options. Although these services improve comfort, they reduce the Angkot's ridership, increasing competition and further lowering the driver's operational efficiency. Second, the Angkot system should move from private owners to a government-operated transportation system in order to promote efficiency, proper labor conditions, and to mitigate the negative effects that it may have on the environment. First, to run efficiently, the government needs to take over the system and turn the currently privately owned Angkot system and nationalize it. The current system lacks any kind of centralized management, meaning that the Angkots operate along the same routes without being synchronized. Consequently, there is a mismatch between the number of vehicles and the customer base, since the numbers of Angkots themselves is higher. Due to the introduction of e-hailing services, most people prefer motorbikes compared to Angkots. This has led to even more competition among the drivers in pursuit of customers, with consumers relying on Angkots less due to their unreliability. Second, challenges faced by the Angkot drivers reveal poor labor conditions marked by unstable income, lack of training, and the absence of a long-term job security. In one of its studies on the Angkot operators, the World Bank indicates that most of the drivers have not been professionally trained and are only equipped with very basic knowledge when it comes to handling mechanical parts and driving. Furthermore, the drivers are deprived of fixed salaries as they depend fully on the passenger fares collected on a daily basis. According to another study by the World Bank Assessment conducted as part of the mass transit project in Bandung in the year 2021, drivers often work long hours, yet only earn around 50,000 rupiah to 100,000 rupiah per day after deducting the cost of fuel, food, and daily rental fees. As indicated by Rahayu, there are constant changes in the supply and demand for Angkots, cost of fuel, and the introduction of competition. By moving to the government-managed system, drivers will be able to get proper training, receive fixed salaries, and may even feel economically secure. Third, the need for governmental control to facilitate a centralized management is needed in order to minimize wastage and considerably lower the negative effects that it may have on the environment. With no coordination, privately owned Angkots compete against each other for customers, with many operating at the same time along the same routes. Since their routes overlap each other, drivers have to spend a lot of their time waiting for customers or driving around looking for them, thus leading to even more competition, wastage of fuel, and loss of income. This behavior can emit carbon monoxide, hydrocarbon, nitrogen oxide, and even other harmful gas emissions into crowded places like schools and markets, where it is inhaled directly by children and pedestrians. In this way, a centrally coordinated public transportation network can minimize these negative effects. Additionally, the majority of Angkot cars operating in Bandung are not in roadworthy condition because of poor maintenance. Due to rust, the chassis of these cars has been weakened, making it vulnerable in the time of an accident. In case of an accident in any normal car, the body has a crumple zone, which works as a cushion that absorbs all shock forces of the collision, protecting the passengers inside from any harm. However, a recent study carried out on Angkot shows poor structural conditions and may increase passenger vulnerability, even during a lower speed collision. Moreover, the seats of these Angkots do not contain any seat belts. Thus, if the driver stops abruptly, people along with their belongings may fly off the seats. Furthermore, apart from the physical hazards to people, Angkots also contribute to the pollution of the city's air. In this respect, once again, to attract a considerable number of customers, the Angkots practice ngetem. as the majority of Angkot today still rely on carbureted engines that have little to no emission controls. As a result, because of incomplete combustion, there are higher levels of fuels and other pollutants emitted into the air by these engines. Once again, this smoke is emitted in crowded places like schools and markets, where it is inhaled directly by children and pedestrians. Contrary to the earlier engine generations, the emission standards of the Euro 4 severely restrict carbon monoxide, hydrocarbon, and nitrogen oxide emissions. These limitations are made possible thanks to the usage of more advanced systems, such as the electronic fuel injection or catalytic converters, that help improve combustion processes and lower harmful gas emissions. One potential solution to the problem described above is for Bandung to implement the microtrans system that was successfully implemented in Jakarta. Moving from the current system to the one where drivers receive fixed salaries, drivers will no longer have a need to chase customers around recklessly and create roadblocks, as they only have to focus on two things: driving safely and according to schedule. By establishing a centralized authority also means that it can control the transport system within the city to have freedom to set stricter rules, such as the usage of modern cars meeting Euro 4 standards for their engines. Moreover, the city will not be able to widen the roads because of its narrow 19th century layout, so a reform of the current Angkot system will be the most effective way to reduce congestion. At the same time, it will bring stability to the lives of Angkot drivers and operators. Replicating Jakarta's system of microtrans in Bandung is possible because both cities face similar structural issues. Bandung and Jakarta are characterized by the narrowness of the roads and gradual, unplanned expansion rather than intentional design. Data from Jakarta also show that paratransit integration in the public transportation network of Transjakarta is proven efficient and serves as an important benchmark for many other cities having large segments of informal transit services. By microtrans, Jakarta managed to increase coverage of its public transportation services from 42% in 2017 up to 82% in 2022, while passenger traffic rose from 300,000 to 1 million users daily in the same time frame. Currently, in Bandung, the Transmetro Bandung now has feeders in form of modern angkots, with 22 vehicles in the fleet at this moment. Gradually improving and enforcing the system can help the system grow gradually. Naturally, many people remain skeptical. Angkots provide affordable transport when other modes are out of reach, or when roads become too narrow for buses to reach. Even though angkot is still necessary in that sense, swerving and ngetem makes the idea of an informal angkot itself less practical. These dangerous driving behaviors do not come from the idea of angkot, but through the pressure of the setoran system. The purpose of these reforms is to eradicate these behaviors gradually through a microtrans-like mechanism. Keeping the angkot while gradually reforming, not removing, would be the best strategy due to the roads in Bandung being too narrow for immediate infrastructure development. Second, people tend to ask for alternatives such as trams, metros, walkways, or even an in-city highway. However, as mentioned before, building infrastructure like these will not be the best or immediate solutions due to the road size, and with houses and stores tightly packed on both sides makes it more practical to further optimize the use of the current angkots in order to provide better services to the public. It can also help enforce connectivity, like the use of microtrans in Jakarta that integrates almost seamlessly into other modes such as the KRL or the Transmetro Jakarta. Third, it is understandable that there are fears of unemployment. However, modernization may actually help people get jobs that pay better than their current work. The 2017 Indonesian Stall Restructuring Program, called the A-Life or Alih Profesi, which means jobs transitions, proves as evidence of successful integration when automation is used for these toll booths. In these examples, the employees who used to work in the toll booths are to explore other jobs created by this automation. This strategy can also be used with the angkot drivers in Bandung. The modernization of the Bandung Angkot system will not only help solve the problem with public transport in the city gradually, but would also clean the driver's public image. Though important to the cultures and riders, the problems posed by these inefficiencies, hazards, and uncertainty associated with the system are tied to the people living in the city. The setoran system makes the drivers drive dangerously and prevents them from properly maintaining the vehicles. while the narrow roads of Bandung and no proper stops create traffic problems and bottlenecks in the city. Using the microtrans system would be the best answer right now, as it will not only help, oh no, oh no, as it will not only help solve these problems, but give the drivers a stable income as well. Now, every day, in the city of Bandung, before the sun rises, the streets feel peaceful, as Bandung should be. This is a city that is filled by passionate people, deep culture, and the peaceful sounds of nature, as well as the sound of people conversing. Thousands of Angkot drivers have come into other careers, mostly clearing the streets of Bandung from traffic. And to those who stay as drivers, they have a peaceful mind, knowing that they have a secure job. To a visitor, it may seem like a change of vehicles only. But for the driver, it is the peace of mind that he can wake up every day, every morning, to work as normal and no longer needs to earn his daily setoran to feed his family. The city will progress better with its most vital mode of transportation designed for the better of the people. Therefore, the way forward for Bandung is to welcome change while embracing a blend of tradition and innovation to meet the needs of its people while acknowledging the needs and history of Bandung's urban landscape. Modernization is not a rejection of cultural identity, but a professionalization of angkots as symbols of Bandung pride and progress, instead of symbols of chaos and danger on Bandung's roads. Though we are not by any means in control of our own government, we can take our protests over to social media with great success in previous events. By promoting a safe, efficient, and inclusive transport sector, Bandung will be able to reduce its chronic traffic jams, enhancing the overall quality of life for all residents while respecting heritage and embracing change. Thank you.
Thank you, Reynfo. Good job. Our panelists today are Mr. Tony and Miss Rireen. Let's start with Miss Rireen.
Mister, may I drink first?
Yes, you may.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, Reynfo.
I miss.
Okay, it's very interesting topic, yeah. I have a question for you. I have some question actually. So, have you ever used or ride a public transportation in Bandung? If yes, what are those?
Specifically, I only did ride them as a kid when I was probably around grammar school. I've ever rode the Angkot and Damri buses in Bandung.
From where to where?
Angkot was when I was a kid, when I was in Lembang. I forgot where to where, but for Damri too, I think I don't remember as well. Honestly, I don't remember.
Okay. So when was the last time you observed the angkot that operate in
I
the
think
city?
for observing Angkot, I think I pretty much do it every day because me and my family, we drive a lot around quite often, and we all realize, even in like crowded places, like for example in Cimahi or in like residential areas such as Antapani, it seems like most angkots, even though it's not break time and it's not during the Friday prayers, it seems like angkots are just ineffective. They just don't have any riders in them, and they drive very slow or block the road.
Okay. So based on your observation, yeah, what insight that you can share after observing all of this transport system, especially angkot in Bandung, yeah, what's the relation between this angkot system with the social issue and also urban problems and also people daily behavior and maybe a sense of public responsibility as Bandung citizens?
Okay, so I think I'm gonna start with the, you said urban problems, yeah. So as I mentioned before, there's the problem with the traffic bottlenecks, right? So as you see, if angkot stop, let's just say this is a 2-lane road, and one angkot stops over here, and then the cars behind it that were on this lane needs to go to this lane. So it effectively makes everything behind it to pile up. And second, for the social issues, currently the UMR Bandung is, for Kabupaten Bandung Barat and Kabupaten Bandung is 3.9, yeah, I think. 3.9 million rupiah per month. And if I take from the World Bank study that says 75,000 to 100,000 a day per day after reducing everything, it's only going to 2,250,000 rupiah per month. Like that.
What about public responsibility?
Can you explain more about public responsibility?
Because when you talk about Angkot, it's connected not only about the drivers, but also the users, and also other drivers, and also other users, the passengers, for example, and also other drivers. Okay, so how's your observation make this connection about this as Bandung citizen? It's also related with there's a cultural things in Bandung, gitu ya. Because when you go to other city, they also have angkot, but maybe they have different problem, or maybe they have no problem. Okay, how do you make connection?
Oh yeah, I got time to think real quick. So are you a bit of asking like if it's how the public reaction to the angkot itself, or like what do you mean by that?
Like this, we talk about Bandung, we talk about angkot. It's having a very close relationship with Bandung culture, budayanya orang Bandung, ya dengan angkotnya. That makes it different from other cities also that have angkot, ya. And it also form our responsibility as citizens, and then this public responsibility, tanggung jawab umum, gitu ya. How it relates, bagaimana masalah, how this angkot problems relate with this all cultural thing, public responsibility as Bandung citizens. It's connecting actually.
So I think the problem with angkots right now is once again their driving behavior and stuff like that. And like, if you're saying about like the culture of Bandung people itself, like if people come to Bandung, and as Mr. Wade said, like the first thing they see is angkot themselves, I think it's just gonna make like a bad first impression on the people coming to angkot and culture of Bandung itself, I think.
Because in other cities that I also experienced having angkot also, maybe for some cities they have more regulation, more people obey that regulation, and then the government manage it well, and all people also obey the regulation. But maybe in Bandung, we have habit like santai-santai or something like that. That could have made this into a problem. So that's what I refer to actually, right? And also, when you say every day in the city of Bandung, ini with city of Bandung or Kabupaten Bandung Barat, because according to my observation also and my experience, not all area in the city have angkot that much, yeah. So which part of the city that you refer to? And also, I believe that there are more areas in Bandung that have more angkot that operates than any other area.
So I'm not specifying an exact region of Bandung itself, but as it's part of the exordium, so it's more like a generalization of the city of Bandung itself, not referring to a specific part of Bandung itself.
So you kind of generalize it, right? But do you admit that there are some parts of in Bandung city or Kabupaten Bandung Barat that have more angkot than any other area?
I mean, to a sense, yes. There's more angkots in certain parts of Bandung compared to other areas. Like for example, like within Kota Baru, there's less angkots because it's a privately owned land compared to like the city of Bandung itself, as it is a government land. So I think it's like that too.
So if you talk about a broader issue about angkot, ya, some area have less angkot. For example, like in Kota Baru, ya. Nah, angkot nggak gitu, jarang except bus, ya. But if you go to Kopo area, for example, or probably Cicadas, gitu, they have more angkot. Have you been to that places?
Not there, but in my observation, when I went to Antapani and when near my house specifically, then the volume of angkot themselves is extremely high. There's a lot of angkots, yeah.
Okay, so does it have any relation with the social inequality?
So I think personally, because Cimahi and Antapani, I mean, they're mostly like suburbs of the city itself, and I think because of there's a bigger number of how to say, residents living there, I think that correlates exactly to the number, why the number of angkots there is more than other places of Bandung.
Okay. What about the economic condition? Economic opportunities, for example.
I think for economically, I think there is, wait, tar. Can you please repeat the question, Miss?
So the area that have angkot more than any other area, does it reflect any other economic situation or condition or certain economic opportunities, something like that?
I think because Angkot itself is used by the urban poor and students, I think, maybe it's because of the amount of students and the urban poor there, maybe, in Cimahi and Antapani and stuff like that, I think.
Okay. So if you are students that living in Antapani, and then, yeah, there's no other way you should ride a public transportation. Yeah, for example, your car's broken or something like that. Are you going to ride angkot or you prefer to have another public transportation?
Okay, so I think to answer that question, I think the problem currently with if I were to use the current Angkot itself in this state, I don't think I would use it because it makes my travel times longer, it's not comfortable, and it's just dangerous in itself. But if we use the new regulations, let's just say the current modernized Angkots in the Transmetro Bandung, I think I would use Angkot often.
Okay, my last question. If you were a mayor of Bandung and you see this is important to be solved, what's the first action that you are going to do?
Okay. So I think I will plan a gradual integration. So it's not gonna be confiscating all the angkots around Bandung, no, but it's first starting from the center of Bandung, let's just say Asia Afrika or Antapani, like in that side of Bandung. Then I'm gonna gradually move until, how do I say? Until, the system itself can be implemented. So I'm gonna first start as gradually.
I think that's
Okay.
it from me. Thank you, Reynfo.
Let's move to Mr. Tony.
Yes.
Wait, Mr. Wait, may I drink again?
Q&A, you can keep your water with you on the podium.
Okay.
Okay, Reynfo, well done in your presentation.
Thank you, sir.
And I really like that you highlight and bring this problem because I come from Cicadas, the place that perhaps 1,000 angkot lives. So every day I encounter that problem, yeah? And yeah, you done some research, which is good. So let's begin with the question, yeah? I'd like to ask you about whether this problem, the Angkot system, is based on the system, the systemic problem, or more to the manpower, the person, human, like the driver itself.
But I think the problem itself is a mix of both, I think.
Mix.
Yeah, because the thing is, if you refer to the Angkot system right now, they basically have no system. It's just like a random, like a vehicle owner and the Angkot itself, that one. And about the man people themselves, like as I mentioned, they don't have any training whatsoever. So I think it's a mix of both.
Okay. So would you like to give like percentage? How many percent is this problem? How many percent is that?
So the thing with my research on Angkot, after researching quite deep, I've never found any exact numbers of there's how many Angkot in Bandung, how many are roadworthy or not. And the only sources even I found is only from like government websites. So I don't think I can give you a percentage on that.
Yeah, so we don't have enough data, yeah, basically. Okay, good. Good research. Now, in order to see this from different perspective, I would like to ask you if you know our train system back 15 years ago, before Pak Jonan became the director of KAI. Do you know? Have you researched about this or have you heard?
No, I don't think I've researched about it.
Okay, let me give you just a bit information. So back then, our train system, the whole Indonesia, train was managed by one single company called KAI. And it was very bad. Even though the people working are actually workers, unlike Angkot. They are staff, driver, maintenance, whatever you name it. Yeah. So the system is there, but doesn't work. Now my wonder is, if we do the reformation, then we didn't really change the people behavior, then it will just waste time and energy actually.
Yeah.
What do you would like to respond to that?
I think train and angkot are definitely two very different things. Because, for instance, angkot does not go immediately into residential areas. For example, you're not going to put a train station beside a house in Bandung, because that's just not possible. So I think currently, if the system is flawed, like as what you said before KAI has a new director, I think that if Angkot can execute this idea well, I think it won't be a problem.
You still think that it won't be a problem, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I like to suggest to you to research a little bit more, because the train system is such problematic back then. Then, yeah, compared to now, and with WUS, like, this is very modern. Now let's continue with the next one. Yeah, let me see. You highlighted online transportation a little bit. Yeah, and you mentioned that this is like a competitor and make the system worse, right? So perhaps someone can tell you, why don't erase all the Angkot system and translate into the online system, which is more convenient, personalized, and so on, and it's still cheap anyway.
Okay.
What do you say?
I think the problem with having that is it's not going to really put into direct competition, but like it's more like the prices itself. Let's just compare the angkots. Like the official price for angkot is 2,000 to 3,000 rupiah, depending on age and other stuff. So yeah, it's gonna be like it's the difference in price. And like if you see like Gojek as well, like using motorcycles, the cheapest one is I think around how much, like 20,000, 15,000 I think, or 7,000. Yeah, around 7,000 ish. So yeah.
So what? Yeah, can it be just replaced? Because I use Angkot a lot, and I know how to find the shortest time, the shortest blah blah blah. But then I choose to use online transportation because it's more convenient.
I think currently it's because of the system's inefficiency, I think, as of right now. But I'm sure that if we get the regulations right, I think that it's going to cut down the travel time as well. So it makes it even more appealing to customers to use the Angkot itself compared to online transport. And online transport also has other uses, for example, food and cargo.
Yeah, okay.
So something like that.
So it has its own place, yeah, after fixing some area. Now the last one is this. People always think government tends to corrupt. Now if you change the private-owned company operators into the public one, it could work because the government has power, but eventually it will make the things worse because of corruption. What do you say?
So because corruption is another factor that is not under our control, if we have like currently like at least a decent governor, as right now we have Kang Deddy Mulyadi, at least he's quite decent, at least he's quite honest, and people like Ahok, who's I think is quite honest too. I think corruption is another factor that is not on our reach, and something like that.
Then I would argue that it's better than not to rely on the government at all, because every 5 years you will have a new one who who knows whom will be elected? We don't know. And every 5 years, you will change the whole system, right? Then don't go that direction because we need to live like in Bandung for long and so on. We want to have a more stable system.
So I think to answer to that, I think it's mostly because I think if we move to a government managed system, I think it will be better because fares could be cheaper and management can be better with government managed system.
Yeah, cheaper means the government will spend more money over there. And that is the problem with corruption. The more corruption is, the less subsidy will there is, right? So you are against yourself, like against your own argument.
Well, I think because corruption is another scope of my thesis I didn't really research about, I don't think I could answer to that.
Okay, never mind. Thank you. Well done, yeah?
Okay, I have a couple more questions.
Oh, no.
So, so Reynfo, to me, you know, I also, I mean, I get it. I get behind these Angkots, and often I'm not too happy, right? I'm trying to get around them. But you know what? In the long run, it's just one of many different obstacles when on my way home, or if I go to Chiwi Day on the Saturday or something. There are trucks that can't move more than 5 kilometers an hour up the road, right? There are people in Delmons, right? Is that how you say it, Delmon?
Yeah.
That I've got to get around. There are Bajaks in places. It's like, and then there's the guy pushing his food cart up the street that I've got to get around. So Angkot is one of many different kinds of obstacles, and I always think as a foreigner, I think, oh, there's just a different cultural view of the road, right? Space is limited, everybody owns the road, and how can I complain about that, right? And so that's my question to you. If we fix Angkot to cause fewer problems, don't we still have all these other things and obstacles we got to worry about?
Yeah, that's true. But the thing is, like, as once again, the congestion in Bandung is because a lot of factors, you know. So I think, like, I'm not saying that, you know, if we do Angkot, then traffic's gone forever. No, but like, it's just one way to reduce the congestion in Bandung, and many more to come after that.
Okay, and just out of curiosity, this microtrans in Jakarta, does it work like Angkot in that they are smaller vehicles that, do they have a stopping place or do they have a schedule or how does it work? Can you explain it to me?
So the one in Jakarta currently it's a bit more regulated. So as we can see, cars are newer, they're a bit better, and they also have fixed stopping places. So they just don't just like, you know.
Okay. Okay, good. Okay, time's up. Good job, Reynfo.
Oh my God.
All right, we will meet panelists, advisors, friends.